Rachel, thank you so much for joining us. We're at Toka Social here in Westfield's White City, where there's been a really enlightening women in football event today, talking about how women and girls transition from playing or transitioning from one career into another. And you're obviously still playing at the minute, but you have your own marketing business as well. So to start things off, where did that passion from marketing come from? How did you sort of decide that was a route that you wanted to go down?
Well, I'd love to say it was just purely out of passion, but more circumstance at the time. Obviously, I was playing for Charlton when we were full-time, but did my ACL, very common women's football story, and started to get a little bit worried about what I would do. It was coming up to the end of my contract, and the club were unsure whether they were going to be able to keep me on at the time. Obviously paying rent in London, started to panic a little bit, and thought about what skills I have and what experience I had from before I went full-time with football. And I'd done a bit of marketing, a bit of business development, so decided the best thing alongside my rehab would be to set up my own business and see what I could make of it. Obviously give me the opportunity to work from home while I also did my rehab. So that's where I started that 3 years ago. Obviously came back to full fitness and playing full-time football for the past 3 years, but run the marketing company at the same time, which also during the uncertainty, as you say, from like Reading and Blackburn, has meant that I've still had that financial security throughout. So it's been brilliant for me.
How have you found juggling trying to be a footballer while also having your own business on the side and trying to make sure that's thriving and doing well too?
Yeah, it's definitely a juggling act. I would say in a way it's enjoyable, it's a positive in terms of club football. You know, if you don't have a good training session, but then I have to switch the laptop on and focus on my marketing, it's quite a nice release. But for me, the biggest challenge is going away with Northern Ireland on international duty, because when we're in camp, like it's 24/7. You think you'd have downtime, but somehow you don't. So then trying to complete work while you really want to focus on that in a really high pressure environment is really difficult.
How have you found switching from going from training, as you say, or coming home from a match and then getting your laptop on and starting to work again? Is it a nice distraction if you've maybe not had a good training session or a match hasn't gone the way you would have wanted to, or is it something where it's taken time for you to sort of adjust and be able to switch that mindset from playing to working?
Yeah, that's one part of it that I've really enjoyed and find really easy. It is a great distraction. Like I say, like from a bad training session, you could sit there all evening, like mulling it over. Like as athletes, we do that all the time. But you know, if I've got a meeting an hour after we finish training, then I need to switch and think about what I need to prepare for that meeting and switch my mindset. And I found that really beneficial, actually.
And how important is it for young girls to have that plan B? Because as you were talking about there, you've had your ACL injuries going up. Sadly, in recent years, you've had issues with your teams, Reading and Blackburn, not being able to play in the Championship, which has been a disappointment for you as well. So how important has it been for you to have that plan B, and that you've got something else that you're working on, so that if things aren't going right in football, you've still got that sort of income there?
Yeah, no, you've hit the nail on the head. It's just given me that sense of security. You know, in women's football, we're playing full-time, which is brilliant, but we're still not paid amazing salaries, and we're often still on 1, maybe 2-year contracts, so there is a lot of uncertainty. So I think for me, it's just taken away a bit of that anxiety. And on top of that, you know, thinking about retiring as you become a more mature player, you've at least got a bit of experience behind you, and if it's something you can push and do longer term, then you've got a bit of a base there. I think, you know, even recently in the press when it came out and Leah Williamson is like, okay, I earn amazing money right now, but it's not enough to retire on, you know, like the men where it's millions that you can invest well and you can live off. So I think even the players like right at the top of the WSL, they're still thinking about these types of things. There's only a certain amount of broadcasting roles. Not everyone wants to be coaches. So actually it is something I think we all sort of need to think about still.
Do you think that they're the two things that, you know, are one of the prominent issues really in women's football right now? Pay for athletes and also the support for those players and teams lower down the pyramid outside of the WSL?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like the Championship particularly is a strange place where it's full time and we want it to be really professional and pushing it. We're also not paid particularly well still. And that's a really difficult challenge because you don't want to work another job alongside it because you're full-time with football and you're playing at a really high level and you want to compete, but equally you're not paid amazing salaries. I also think then when you drop down, if you're training part-time in tier 3 and your job is like your main piece of work in the day, that's maybe easier, and then the double sells the opposite. So I think championship is this weird in between where it's like you're full-time, you're putting energy into that, and you're getting paid for it, but it's still small salaries, which is like a really difficult place to be.
And how are yourself and the Blackburn squad? Because the way last season finished and the situation that has happened with the club is probably not what you would have wanted to. So how are you all doing, and what's kind of next for you now, I suppose?
Yeah, thank you. No, it's been challenging. Obviously, it's something I've been through the previous season with Reading. So as a more like experienced player, I felt like this time I did have to speak up about it. Felt like not enough noise was made after Reading, and the women's game has come so far, but we just need to keep on pushing it and solving these issues. So it's been really frustrating. The way the club's dealt with it has been shocking, unfortunately. It still continues. One of our players who recently done her ACL, they said they support her and they've now taken that away, so we're still pushing for that to be resolved. So yeah, it's been an uphill battle, I would say. But hopefully the fact that we made a bit more noise means that it's going to stop happening within the women's game.
Definitely, something we can definitely echo there. We can hear the Euros in the background. Obviously, you're someone who's played internationally with Northern Ireland. Before we come on to England, what have you made of the tournament so far, and what teams have stood out for you so far?
Yeah, it's been brilliant, hasn't it? I think to see all the stadiums packed out has been brilliant, and the standard of football's been top draw, which is brilliant. I think I'd be the same as everyone else, but Spain looked very good, didn't they?
Are they your ones that you think have got their names potentially on the trophy?
I think so. I think they're going to be hard to knock off. But there have been some good dark horses, like Sweden, obviously always a brilliant team, but they really impressed me the other night as well.
We've got to ask you about the home nations as well, starting off with England. A disappointing opening game for them, but against Holland and Wales, what have they got to do now to get through and get out the group?
Yeah, I don't think we want to judge them too early. Like, France was a very tough game. Obviously the passes were a bit wayward, weren't they? And I think that was the frustration. But they're a team that's going through a big transition. Lots of huge characters have left the changing room. But I don't want to speak too soon. Don't hold me to it. I know it's just started. I don't know what's going on right now. But I think England are gonna progress. I think they're going to beat the Netherlands and Wales.
Well, we'll let you go and watch the game shortly, but I've just got to ask you one more about Wales as well. What have you made of them going into their first major tournament in a tough group, but the way they showed themselves in that opening game, they came out with a lot of credit?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's really difficult, your first major tournament. With Northern Ireland, we qualified, obviously, Euros 2022, and it is really difficult. We've not had that experience before, so I think they've done themselves really proud. And as a nation to get to that stage is brilliant, and hopefully the impact for grassroots football for girls in Wales is impacted, and I think actually that's the biggest takeaway, and that's what's important.
Brilliant. Well, we'll let you go and watch the game. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, and best of luck for this season and whatever's next for you.
Thank you so much.